Hello, hello. It is 2:22 at the moment. Hope y'all are doing well. Yeah, there's a couple things that I wanted to mention about some upcoming transits and some that are waning now. So, yeah, what's today? Technically, it is Friday, Venus Day. We are actually in the energy of Thursday, Jupiter Day. And I think it's Mercury hour at the moment. And I've just been just fascinated with some of the things that have been going on in the sky, and just looking at what's going on in the U.S., like Kamala Harris and Trump and Biden stepping down and all this stuff, and comparing their charts, and it's just really fascinating. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. We've had a lot of solar flares. There's another astrologer slash, I guess he is considered a, what does he call himself? His name is Stefan Burns, and he gives space, weather, and earth energy updates, and he combines like what's going on in the skies, in the cosmos, from an astrological view, as well as a space weather view, like geophysical. He talks about geophysical energetic events, and there are some astrologers that kind of touch on the space weather aspect, and then really go into the astrology. Like Molly McCord does that. Like the galactic astrologers, Julia Balaz really goes into the galactic astrology. So the meaning of these galactic points in our galaxy, but like less of the space weather. Who else? There's a handful that kind of touch on one or the other. Earth 1111 goes into the Schumann resonance and talks more about the space weather and the solar flares. If you've been feeling super exhausted and tired, like we have had some pretty active space weather, so that's completely normal. And it seems like it's also connected to the Leo season. Like Leo is ruled by the sun, and the sun is giving off a lot of energy. There's a lot of flares coming off of the sun, and I mean, it's incredible to kind of see how, like, when you take a picture of the sun these days, it's just a lot more radiant. And the energy from the sun, I mean, maybe it's because it is summertime, but it does feel a lot more potent, a lot stronger. But yeah, Stefan Burns connects the astrology and the planetary alignments with the space weather. And some of the videos on his YouTube are a lot more technical. Like, he does a really good job of describing the archetypes of each planet and how it affects us as humans, and how we are experiencing it physically, and like in the sky, like geophysically and geophysical energetically, if that even makes sense. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that YouTube channel, Stefan Burns, if you didn't already have enough stuff to rabbit hole into. We did have the the full moon in Capricorn at 29 degrees. Yeah, this energy of Capricorn at 29 degrees, it's like really finishing like the shadow sides of Capricorn, and what we are really becoming aware of and understanding and knowing, and being fed up with those sides of the shadow sides of Capricorn, like capitalism and greed and control. And it's like that side of Capricorn where there's just like a stifling of energy, where Saturn represents boundaries and restrictions and rules, and it can be stifling and suffocating, and is suppressing energies that need to be released, and needs to explore and find its way out. And that's where we're at now. And with Pluto going back and forth between Aquarius and Capricorn, it's going to dip back into Capricorn in September. It's currently retrograde, and so Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius. Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius, and it's the energy of like experimentation and really going thinking outside of the box. And so with Uranus right now is very active. Like there's so much activation that is going on with planets connecting or conjuncting Uranus. Mars was just conjunct Uranus a few weeks ago before it entered Gemini, and now we have planets moving into Leo, and now Mercury squared Uranus on the 21st. And that kind of energy, so Mercury is a planet of communication and transactions and the way we process information. And Uranus is considered to be the higher octave of Mercury. And so it's that sort of like way of processing information in like at a higher level. And the way I kind of see Uranus is kind of like an antenna, or like like a cable antenna, or a satellite. If you like look at the glyph, it's got like these two antenna type shape things, and it's got like a bar and a circle in the middle. And if you think about Mercury, like they both have these sort of structures that are pointing up to the heavens, and so that's like receiving information, receiving some sort of information from above, from the ethers. And Aquarius being an air, like it affects airwaves, information that we receive through, it could be pigeons. Like if you think about how messages were delivered back in the day. So yeah, carrier pigeon. But yeah, nowadays it's like delivered through the airwaves, internet. And that's why Aquarius is connected to technology. And Mercury is the planet of communication, and it rules Gemini and Mercury. Gemini and Virgo. And so Gemini is an air sign as well. And Mercury just entered Virgo, and Mercury also rules Virgo. The Mercury square Uranus, what I find interesting about this particular square, it's going to happen 2 more times because Mercury will go retrograde in August. August 4th is when it goes, travels backwards, and it will retrograde at 4 degrees Virgo, and it will dip back into Leo, which means it's going to reach the 27 degree again of Leo, and it will square Uranus and Taurus, which is at 27 degrees. I kind of see this aspect as like offbeat improv, and so with Mercury and Leo, it's very performative, and very like can be on stage and like very comfortable with being in front of people. And with a square to Uranus again being the ruler of Aquarius, it's very unconventional, so this can be like offbeat or very spontaneous, like very witty energy. And the description in Stellar Influences considers this to be an energy of when there's like astuteness, intuition, and the power to influence people, innovations, inventions, sudden cognition or perception. On the shadow side of this particular energy, failure is caused through scattering one's energies or doing everything in haste, nervousness, eccentric actions, upset, and excitement. He describes Mercury square Uranus, or the Mercury-Uranus energy, as a revolutionary spirit and mind, shrewdness, inventive thinking, talent for speaking, intuition, interest in or ability in technical science or engineering, physics, mathematics, rhythm, etc., the desire to be independent, intellectual flexibility. So there's like an astuteness to this energy. There's an asteroid, the fixed asteroid Algol is conjunct Uranus, so this means Mercury will be or has squared Algol. And like just observing what's going on in the world with all this political activity, this can be seen as slander tactics, and you can see how there's been so much divisiveness, of course, when describing like one candidate versus the other. There's so much shit talking about both sides. There's people talking about how Kamala Harris's laugh is like psychotic. Like that's such like that kind of slander, or like pointing something like that out, is so, it's very immature in my opinion. I don't, it's like, yeah, basically efforts to defame someone's character assassination, reputation attacks. Yeah, like this kind of energy, the Mercury square Algol, it is an energy of tension, and it is big time mudslinging. And of course, over the course of how many years has it been since Trump was president? But like the whole time, you know, every chance the media can get, they are like talking shit about him. I mean, there are opportunities and like so much dirt to dig up on all of the politicians, in my opinion. But there's just, it's like Trump is such an easy target because he puts himself out there, and I think he has Uranus conjunct his moon or sun. Let me see here. He is right. Yeah, he's got Sun, North Node, and Uranus in the sign of Gemini, within like 5 degrees of each other. So his sun is in the 10th house, so it's like out there for the public to see. He has like very unpredictable, unconventional, offbeat personality, and that's part of his, his conjunct his North Node, so that's part of his destiny. Like that's just who he is, and he is meant to shake things up. Like that is exactly what he's doing. It's really interesting to see their chart, like Kamala Harris's chart and Donald Trump's chart together, because they both have Algol prominently in their chart. Like Algol is 26 degrees and some change, and Donald Trump's midheaven is at 24 degrees, and Kamala Harris has Jupiter at 24 degrees Taurus. So like, and so their Jupiter and her Jupiter and his midheaven are conjunct, which can be taken in a lot of different ways. Like her Jupiter on his midheaven, that's Jupiter's blessings and expansion and beliefs and knowledge. So it's interesting that her Jupiter is conjunct his midheaven. But there's a lot of similarities between the two. Like they both have their moons in fire signs. So his is in Sagittarius and hers is in Aries. His is at 21 degrees, hers is at 27 degrees. So they're in that same decan of the fire signs. They both have Mars in Leo, which is very strong. Like Leo, of course, is leadership, nobility, like can be demanding. With Mars there, that just kind of heightens that kind of energy. Like Mars is very go-getter. If you think about Mars, it's the ruler of Aries and Scorpio, so it's like a heat-seeking missile. And in the sign of Leo, it really goes for it. I mean, there's kind of a no resistance, especially when they are in a trine to their moons. They're all in fire signs, so that's like a lot of fire and like activity, like action. So she's got a stellium in Virgo, Uranus, Pluto, and Venus, and it squares his moon, and so that can be kind of intimidating because she's got incredible, powerful, and like sharp astuteness, with Uranus there in Virgo, and she's able to deliver this kind of attention to detail with grace because she has Venus in Virgo, and so this is kind of intimidating to his moon in Sagittarius, which can be very optimistic but then like lacks detail. And this Virgo stellium of Kamala Harris squares his Gemini stellium, but specifically her Venus squares his Uranus at 17 degrees. They both have their North Node in Gemini, not far from each other. Hers is at 25 degrees Gemini, and his North Node is at 20 degrees Gemini. He's born in 46 and she's born in 64. So, yeah, this is just interesting to see how these energies play out between the two and how they kind of treat each other and attack one another. And there's some other astrologers that are really breaking everything down and how she is. She's been in a 12th house perfected year, and she's going into a first house perfected year, which is really like coming out of the shadows. And if you think about it, like we haven't heard much from her like over the past year or so. Her birthday's in October, so that's when she enters her first house perfected year, which the first house is like all about the self and like really being seen, and being the first. And it has that energy of Aries, of like just having a lot of courage and audacity, and again with the fire energy. And her moon is in Aries, so yeah, it's going to be a interesting year, to say the least. But yeah, enough about that. Just very fascinating. So yeah, Mercury square Uranus. We're going to see that happening again on August 18th, which will be super interesting because that will be when Mercury and the Sun will Cazimi, so they'll be conjunct. That's when Mercury will still be retrograde, and Cazimi is when, you know, whatever planet is conjunct the Sun is in the heart of the Sun, and so there are certain things related to that particular planet, in this case Mercury. So any information or the way we're processing information, we are burning away what we know, what we intuitively know is false, and like the truth can reveal itself when planets are Cazimi, when planets become conjunct with the Sun, and it's kind of like reborn in a way. So we've had that with Venus in the sign of Gemini a few months ago, which is also called a Venus star point. And then, so right after that is the full moon in Aquarius. And not to get too far, you know, ahead, but this is taking place at 12 degrees, which is 12 degrees of Leo is the North Node of Neptune. I mentioned this in a couple of videos ago, I don't know how many months ago, talking about planetary nodes and how each planet has a North Node and a South Node, just like the Moon's nodes has, right now the Moon's nodes are in Aries and Libra, so the North Node is in Aries and the South Node is in Libra. And they're not always opposite of each other, but in the case of the Moon and in the case of Neptune, they are opposite of each other. So yeah, the North Node of Neptune is 12 degrees Leo, and the South Node of Neptune is 12 degrees Aquarius. And again, like the North Node is the direction that we are moving toward to balance out the South Node of that particular planet's energies. And Neptune being the ruler of Pisces. There's so many synchronicities with this. Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces, and it really speaks to like really accepting what is, and it's very imaginative, creative. It also deals with illusions, delusions, escapism, but also manifestation, and like we can really create, you know, a reality that we've been dreaming about, you know, especially in the sign of Leo. Like in Leo is all about creation, like that intuitive creativity. And then 12 degrees is connected to Pisces because it's Pisces is a 12th sign, so that's like a emphasis on the Pisces energies of imagination and creativity and spirituality. Like we can really connect with, you know, the spiritual side of ourselves, like really going within and letting the visions come through by going within and like not getting distracted, and like, you know, accepting and trusting what comes through. And so that's like another amazing synchronicity. And so the full moon in Aquarius, the moon is going to be in Aquarius, the Sun is going to be in Leo, that's what makes it a full moon, and then Uranus is going to be in Taurus, so that's going to create a T-square. And this happens on a Monday, which is a moon day, and so this is an opportunity to really connect with the earth, your body, and like, you know, put something tangible down, something, you know, maybe like paint or draw or like do something physical with the creative energy that's coming through. So yeah, I don't want to jump too far ahead. I mean, there's going to be another Mercury-Uranus square when Uranus is retrograde and Mercury will be direct. And so it'll be sometime in September, could be September 8th, somewhere around there. Uranus retrogrades between September 8th and January 30th, between the degrees of 27 and 23. So that means, yeah, Mercury is going to square Algol a third time as well. So that is something to take notice of and just observe, you know. But yeah, today Mercury enters Virgo, and it will be in Virgo until August 4th, and then it will retrograde back at 4 degrees and then it'll re-enter Leo on August 14th, and then it'll go back to what degree? I think 21 degrees of Leo, and then it'll go forward again August 28th, and then re-enter Virgo on September 9th, and then it'll stay in Virgo. Mercury will stay in Virgo until the 26th of September. So we can expect like a lot more attention to detail, like just being more attuned to the minutia, especially with all the things, all the events that are going on. And it can be, you know, we don't want to be distracted by the details that are going on in the news and like in politics. Like, it's actually like more productive to turn that attention inward and focus on what we are creating for ourselves. Whether that's, you know, I mean, this whole year, like this year and next year, is a huge energy of purging, like making room for what is to come, and really like taking stock of what we have and appreciating what we have, and like learning to let go of what we don't need, what's not serving us. And today is actually the moon is in Aries, and it's conjunct the North Node in Aries, and like the things that are happening right now is definitely going to play a part in the larger, the bigger picture, like in the grand scheme of things. Like what's happening right now, the people that we're meeting, the conversations that we're having right now is going to play a part in our future. Like it's connected to the North Node in Aries. Venus and the Sun are in Leo, which is making a flowing, like supportive aspect to the North Node in Aries and the Moon. And then Chiron will be, if it hasn't already by the time I post this, will be retrograde. And so this is going to be the energy of reflecting back at our wounds and where we have felt unsupported or insecure about our position or our role in this existence. And it will be retrograde, let's see, do I have that? Until December 29th. So it'll retrograde from the between the degrees of 23 and 19. So it'll go back to 19 degrees, and then on December 29th it will go direct. So between now and then, between now and the end of this year, we'll have the opportunity to revisit those difficult issues and have those difficult conversations to really work through and get past. And yeah, probably more on that at another time. There's supportive energies that will let us have those conversations. The ruler of Mars, Mars is the ruler of Aries, and Mars is in the sign of Gemini, which is an air sign, and air and fire are compatible. And with Jupiter also in the sign of Gemini, there can be some blessings and luck with these endeavors when having these conversations about our childhood, like bringing up those inner child wounds and trying to use and open up that throat chakra to have those conversations. So it can be, you know, like it may be easier said than done, but if we are aware of these energies, we can really work at taking advantage of these energies. And like the energy between Aries and Gemini is creative opportunities. So it's a sextile, so it's the energy of, like, it's not a trine where like the energy just flows naturally. They're not in the same element. These are two different elements where if they work together consciously, then something new can be created, something new that is productive. Like similarly, like water and earth, like they are compatible, and if you blend them in the right amounts, it can create like a strong foundation. And with fire and air, it can create warmth, and as long as, you know, there's enough of each to be able to like not put out the other. That is something to keep in mind. I think that's all I had to mention at this point. Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things to come with these kind of energies. Like all the energies are, besides Mercury moving into Virgo, Venus and the Sun are in fire. The North Node is in fire. We have all these energies in Gemini, Mars, and Jupiter, and so those are compatible with the Aries energies, and we are able to take advantage of the trine to Pluto and Aquarius until September. Pluto dips back into Capricorn for a couple months. That will be the last stitch effort of those Capricornian attempts at holding on to control. But yeah, we're going to revisit those energies later on down the road. In the meantime, I just thought I would mention those energies of Neptune's North Node at 12 degrees Leo. So if you have anything in the sign of Leo, like around, the mid degrees, whether it's your sun, moon, rising, or any of the personal planets, Mercury, Venus, then this can be, something to really embrace. And the world really needs people to step into their creativity. And who was I listening to earlier? I can't remember if it was Aubrey Starr, maybe. How we need each person to shine their individual light to its full capacity in order for the entire string of lights or the constellation to really be impactful. Like a Christmas tree with lights and bulbs not burning at the right level. There was a quote about, Leo is the stars, but the constellation is Aquarius. So that Leo Aquarius axis is really, having each individual star shine brightly in order to bring the full picture to full brightness. I don't know if that makes sense. Aries North Node is at 9 degrees now, so it's reaching the end, which is pretty exciting. It moves backwards, so we're going to be moving into a Pisces North Node come January. Just keep on, in the meantime, just keep on bravely moving toward independence, entrepreneurship, solitude, singlehood, embracing the isolation. Individuation is not a bad thing. That's what allows our light to shine brighter, is being able to allow the individuation to reveal our true authentic gifts and skills so that we can contribute authentically to the whole. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that was helpful. And yeah, it's really important, especially now, to really stay centered and not get too distracted with what is going on out in the world. Mars is in Gemini now, which is the energy of really going into everything, just wanting to pursue all the opportunities that we come across, whether it's presented to us or we are seeking these opportunities. We have to really use our discernment as to what is for our realistically viable for our energy levels. It's going to be different for everyone. We all have placements in different signs, particularly if you have placements in the mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, and Sagittarius. It's going to be a lot more squirrel energy, because there's so many options that mutable signs tend to get into. But we have to dial it back and just kind of pick one or two options to decide on and make a decision. The thing with mutable signs, and I can attest to this as a Pisces sun, the options can be overwhelming. It can physically affect us. We lose sleep. Our sleep quality can diminish. So it's important to keep these things in check. Easier said than done, but this is why we are all here to hold each other accountable and be reminders for each other. And it's all a learning process. So we experiment and we go through these valleys, peaks and valleys, and we kind of learn from the past and like move forward, like there's no need to judge or dwell on what didn't happen. Just, like moving forward, it's not the end of the world, our own experiences. So if we could just like accept one another's path and understand that each of us have our own experiences and our own universe within us. Someone else, whatever's going on with someone else has nothing to do with you. As you are in your integrity, then and that's all you have to be, like that's all you have to be concerned about is like what you are doing. So yeah, anyway, hopefully that made sense, and hopefully that was helpful. Again, thank you so much for listening, and thank you for all of your likes and subscribes, and feel free to share your experiences. And yeah, thank you. I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.